I'm the former chief deputy sheriff in Orange County when Tom was employed there. Present also is Tom's wife, Mrs. Jane DeMars. All right, Tom, first off, I have to ask you to swear or affirm that everything you say on this tape is absolutely true and correct to the best of your knowledge and recollection.
To the best of my knowledge, I always tell the truth.
Amen. Laborers
Right.
working for a big grower
One of
in West Orange County?
Yeah, one of the grove processors,
Okay.
which has like several crew bosses.
Right.
They would go out in a bus and pick these people up and take them up to whatever grove they're working. And
That would have
at least 3 days a week, they would load everybody up at lunchtime, take you down to Carol's country store where you could buy sandwiches and stuff on the cuff, because the crew boss would go in there with you, and Carol would look at him like, has he made enough money to pay for this? This would be during the middle of the week. It's depending on how many boxes of oranges you picked.
right.
As to how much money you had coming. Of course, you paid above price for anything you bought anyways. But we were into that almost 3 months. And you get to talking to these migrant workers. And of course, now the Jacob Reddick homicide occurred before I came on the department.
Yes. That was in February of 1970.
Right.
Jacob Shorty Reddick was killed.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, I guess everybody called him Mr. Shorty. All the migrant workers.
Right.
So we'd sit around at lunchtime if we brought our own sandwiches or something like that in the field. You know, I'm just listening to them. And then I get to talking to them, you know, because they thought we purported ourselves as just having just gotten out of prison and trying to make our lives straight.
Right.
So they kind of trusted us. Well, and you know, I mean, half of them were Hispanic, half of them were black, half of them looked like us, white trash.
Were you were working in the migrant camp? Were you also sleeping in migrant quarters, or
No.
what did you do at night?
No, went home.
Okay.
But we had an old beat up car that was confiscated. I mean, it was a piece of junk. They even gave me gas on the cuff.
When you say on the cuff, you mean on credit from
Yeah.
Carol's Country Store.
Right.
Who was then operating? Because this is in the mid-1970s.
Right.
Who was then operating Carol's Country Store?
Carol.
Carol
And
Reddick Lovett.
Right.
She had since married, since her husband Shorty had been murdered.
Right.
So she was now Carol Lovett.
Right.
Correct. Okay.
Now, one of the pieces of information, because all of the migrant workers called her Miss Carol. And this one guy, and I have no idea what his name was, he says, yeah, Miss Carol gave Charlie Mays 5 big ones to get rid of Shorty. so she could marry her boyfriend. And obviously I wasn't there, had nothing to do with the Shorty Reddick homicide, but from what I understand from the news accounts, that Shorty emptied a 5-shot 38 caliber, I think, Colt. But he was the only one that got hit with one round that killed him.
That's correct.
And there was, to my knowledge, there were no impact rounds of 5 rounds that were fired.
That's correct.
Well, I inquired a little bit more of these migrant workers, and this was a different one that told me that Miss Carol paid Charlie Mays 5 big ones, which back then was a lot of money for a migrant worker.
5 big ones would have meant
$5,000.
$5,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
But another guy told me the day before Shorty was murdered, Carol's boyfriend, I think his name is Jim Lovett, was seen emptying a revolver into a pond. My theory is, because Shorty always, from what I understand, always kept the gun underneath the counter. My theory is Carol got the gun, gave it to her boyfriend, emptied it, put it back with the shell still in it. So Shorty may have tried to defend himself, and he may have expended or tried to expend all 5 rounds, but all he had was empty casings. But yet, if there weren't any tests done, it would show the gun had been recently fired, because it was fired the day before.
That's correct.
So, as far as I'm concerned, that was a murder for hire.
Yes.
Then, can we take a break? I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yes, sir. We're going to take a short break here. Time now is 6 minutes till noon.
They did a number on you knowing it would destroy Malcolm. And then Lawson Lamar ran for sheriff, and 3 weeks later, after he was sworn in, I resigned. Because I knew too much about the man. I wasn't going to work for him in CID.
Correct.
And I told him, I said, send it through. I said, I don't want to work for that man.
All right. After you left the department, so Mel Coleman was defeated in the election in the fall of 1980 by Lawson Lamar, and he assumed the role of sheriff in January of 1981.
Right.
And you
Now the incidents with my dogs happened after the loan sharking case became known.
Right.
I was gone one day, come home, and they had shot my German Shepherd, and went as far as to lay him up on my porch.
Whoa.